Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I'm your co-host Cicily.
I'm your host Hayden.
And your other co-host Matthew is here with us again today. So let's welcome him. Terrifier 2. Terrifier 2. That's what we're talking about. Terrifier 2. I only watched it because Hayden picked it. So I said, okay, great. Awesome. Came out in 2022. No rating, question mark. Right?
Yeah, no rating.
Should be rated extremely R. 2 hours and 18 minutes too long. And it got a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. After being resurrected by a sinister entity, Art the Clown, I can't stand him, returns to the timid town of Miles County, where he targets a teenage girl and her younger brother on Halloween night.
Yeah.
Awesome!
Yeah, I picked this one. This one's
It's a doozy.
It's a doozy, that's for sure. So, we'll start off with the fact that it picks up immediately after where the last one leaves off. Where he's killing that, Yeah, see, Matthew agrees.
Yeah, he didn't like it either. It's kind of scary.
It picks up right where the last one leaves off, where he's killing that, the morgue guy.
Yeah.
That guy. I don't know what the hell to call him. But, one thing that we know from watching the beginning of this movie is that it's already gorier than the last one.
Yeah, that's for sure.
He's beating him with that, rib cage hammer thing.
Uh-huh.
Breaking his skull open, he just rips his skull apart. Just cool to see, like, all the gore and stuff, but it's definitely already gorier than the last movie was.
Oh, yeah.
Then the next scene I thought was actually really a funny part of the movie was when he's washing his clothes. Washing all the blood off of his clothes. I thought it was really funny that he specifically went to a laundromat and took off his outfit and threw it in the washer.
Completely. He's naked
And he's
in
completely
the
naked
laundromat.
underneath, and he just throws it all into the washer. I thought that was hilarious. But then there was that creepy girl. The little demon girl or whatever.
Oh my god. Oh my
just
god.
sitting there and...
Why? They made it worse.
Yeah, how do they make it creepier and worse?
Add a little girl.
Just add a little creepy
There you
demon
go.
girl. That's it.
Problem solved.
And make her super creepy looking too. With like the eyes and the smile and
The side pony.
yeah, and the side pony thing. And just shit all over the floor.
Yeah, whatever that was.
But then we see the first true kill of the movie. And I say that because the killing the mortuary man
Was in the other movie.
was technically part of the first movie, so that
Right.
doesn't truly count as the first kill of this movie. But he was mopping the blood up off the floor that he left there from his outfit or whatever, and he shoved half the mop handle up, like right down through his skull and through that dude's mouth. That was
Disgusting.
it was gross. But there's some. It shows the family, the main family of the movie. The little brother is just weird.
Oh yeah.
He's a strange kid. Kind of creepy in a way.
Creepy? I don't think he was creepy. I think he was just a little
super
boy.
weird. And, like, he wanted to be dress up as the clown, and I don't know. He was just acting really weird to me. But then Burnt Sienna falls asleep.
Uh-huh.
And she has a dream about the clown cafe.
Disgusting.
Weird. I think that was really, really strange. And it was just like a commercial that she fell asleep with and she had a dream about, like a nightmare about, basically. And it was just so creepy the way that everyone was acting and dancing and everything.
I'm gonna have the same dream tonight.
And we have a
Watch.
special guest, and it's Art the Clown.
Great!
Of all people to be thrown into this commercial, Art the Clown is it.
Lovely.
And he ends up killing all the kids, pulls out a gun and shoots them all, and then after giving them all presents, of course, and gives Sienna a present, and she opens it, and it's just a heart in a box.
With maggots.
Yeah, maggots and worms and black goo, whatever it is. And yeah, this is when she shoots everybody. But then
I don't do maggots, by the way.
he sets everything on fire, too, in the dream. And it catches her room on fire.
Yeah!
It was pretty
Pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it was a pretty gnarly way to wake up out of a nightmare.
Oh my god. No, thank you.
And it's just it looked like it was coming from the sword setting her wings on fire. And it definitely seemed like it was Art that did it. Because why did the fire, just start?
Yeah.
Kind of weird. So I'm right there with her and thinking that it was weird. But there's a scene where Art is making the weapons, and it kind of resembles from the first movie, where the report from, like, that woman had that interview with the mutilated face.
That was freaky.
It was a year ago, a year before this movie, and he's making all the weapons, and I think it was that scene. It was like trying to say that scene is happening right now in this movie.
Yeah.
And on the little TV was the report from the first movie where the survivor of Art from the first one, Victoria or something like it, Vanessa maybe,
something like that,
was really the survivor, and she had just a completely screwed up face.
Oh.
He messed her up.
He jacked her up, yeah.
But then the little brother goes to school, and his friends are behind the dumpster just playing with a dead possum. Opossum. Sorry.
Excuse you.
And they're like poking it with a stick and everything, and opening its stomach folds, and there's just bugs inside eating it. And
yummy.
it's just, that's the start of a serial killer playing with dead animals.
Oh yeah,
and it wasn't even the little brother that was doing it, but they thought it was. And basically it was gross. It was disgusting. And she starts talking about her dream to her friend, and saying how the house got caught on fire, and they were like, well, did you think that the fire might have caused your nightmare, blah blah blah. And it's like, I don't know, that seems like that seems far-fetched.
That's a reach.
Yeah, it's a reach. Yeah, like the heat of the flames made you think that there was a fire in your dream or something. That's
silly.
Yeah. With everything that's happening in the movie, that seems like
it's
the least
silly, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a silly thing. Like, it's probably Art.
Most likely.
And then Art scares her down in the costume shop.
Ugh.
He's just standing in the doorway.
Could you imagine? I would shit twice and die.
Yeah, that'd be really creepy, just to see Art standing in the doorway, leaning against the door frame, smiling at you, not moving.
I'd pass out.
Yeah, especially you, since you hate clowns. But she, squeezes past him and comes up to pay for the wings and the whatever other thing, necklace or whatever it was. And she forgot her bag downstairs. Here comes Art and slams her purse right on the counter and walks away. Like, oh, that was nice of you. Thank you.
You know what? Thank you.
Thanks for that. Maybe you can decide not to come and terrorize me for the rest of the movie. But I thought this scene was absolutely hilarious. Art trying on all the different sunglasses.
Oh, that's some comedic relief for sure.
And I thought all the glasses were funny and everything he was doing, but it was the one with the eyes on the springs.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just moving his head around and the eyes were bouncing everywhere. That was hilarious.
That was a good one.
And I think that was a very well done scene by the guy who plays Art. Art. And then Sienna leaves the costume store, and he ends up killing the cashier in a pretty gruesome and brutal way. He starts cutting his head open while he was alive, like into his brain. And he just chops his head off while he's still alive, too.
That was so gross, dude.
That was pretty freaky.
And then he held his head in between his hands while customers came up to
the window
and they thought it was a part of the
animatronic thing.
The display. And the kid was like, cool.
Well, I mean, I get it. Like, Art did a pretty good job of trying to blend in.
He did. I'll give him that.
And then he just threw the dude's head.
So
he was
gross.
holding it, he just threw it to the side. Like, get this out of here. Thought that was funny. But then we see the dad's drawings, which a lot of them are really cool. You know, in that sketchbook or whatever.
Yeah.
And we see the character that she's making the costume for. And there's a bunch in there. Even Art the Clown was in there.
Yeah.
Which was kind of crazy that the dad was drawing Art the Clown. Must have been seeing him or something.
Oh, yeah.
And Art shows up at that other girl's house, her friend's house. Great. We know this isn't going to end very well. And this scene, I can't even describe this scene accurately because of how brutal it is, right? So Art's at the girl's house, okay, and it's just really crazy how he's basically stalking her, pounding on the door, pretending to want candy.
Listen, if a clown comes knocking on your door and he wants candy, just give it to him.
Even though he didn't want candy.
And then go get your gun.
Yeah.
But give him the candy, so maybe he won't kill you.
So he's basically terrorizing her at this point. And it cuts to Sienna putting on her costume. And it's a nice scene because she puts the costume on that her dad had drew years before for her, a character. He must have been like a comic book artist or some sort. And she made by hand the costume that he drew for her in one of his stories or whatever it was. So it was kind of a cool scene to see her in that costume. Kind of like a what's the word, saying oh, this is for my dad type thing, which is really cool. And Art is now inside her friend's house. Is now inside the house. That's not good. She heard a noise and she went down to look, and the sliding glass door is shattered. Glass all over the floor. So now he's inside the house, which is just great. And the brutality of this scene is, like I said, so hard to describe because he's just tearing her apart. Cuts off an arm, slices her eyeball open, scalps her, is just slicing pieces of her off left and right. And it's just disgusting.
Disgusting.
He's tearing her apart. And it's just terrible. And it cuts to the brother and the mom, and they have a big fight, and saying she starts ripping up the dad's old sketchbook, and the brother calls the mom a bitch and runs away. And he storms out of the house because he wanted, her to listen to him, and she wasn't. And Which, I mean, I get, she's having a tough time being, by herself and everything, but she didn't believe him that he didn't actually bring the dead possum into school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty shitty situation for both sides, really. But he's like running away from the house now because they had a big fight, and he actually sees the creepy girl in the van, which has to be one of the creepiest things about running from a fight on Halloween. It's just seeing that creepy girl, and then you hear the mom's voice on the radio screaming "help me" and stuff.
I would shit my pants.
Yeah, that would be terrible. So he decides to try running back to the house itself. So the mom went into the garage and saw that there was shaving cream and toilet paper and a broken pumpkin and bitch written on the windshield with shaving cream all over the car, and she instantly blamed the brother, even though he ran out the front door and just kept running.
Yeah.
So, there was a scene where she called Sienna and was saying, hey, he did all this and whatever, and she was like, I don't think he did, it doesn't sound like him, but she told her that she loved her. Like, Mom, I love you, like,
yeah,
kind of like a just in case something bad happens type I love you. And they had a nice little moment there, and she starts cleaning the car off, and Art was inside the car, so when she wipes the shaving cream off the window, he's there inside the car and just blows her head apart with a shotgun. Yep.
That he does.
I couldn't imagine the last thing that was going through her head.
Like, oh shit.
Oh shit, I'm fucked, kind of thing.
There's a scary clown in my car.
And the brother gets back to the house, and he actually starts attacking the little brother, which is a pretty terrifying scene because both Art and the little girl are in the house, and Art is chasing him with this giant syringe full of some mystery liquid. And he attacks the brother and knocks him out with the syringe. Whatever was in there, it made him pass out and he was knocked out into the car, and I think they took the mom's car, it looked like. Or no, it was a van or something, huh?
Yeah.
It was that van that she was probably in, I think. But yeah, so that was a pretty intense scene there, and Sienna's on the way back home because she started to freak out a little bit, and quote unquote the brother calls Sienna saying, hey, I need help, I'm at this amusement park or whatever, can you come get me, my friends left me here or whatever. Not very good friends if you ask me, but she's like, yeah, I'll come and help you. So they pull off and go to the amusement park, and she gets out to go look for her brother, and her friend Brooke delves into the story about the dad, that he actually killed himself.
Yup.
It's pretty
sad.
Which is, pretty sad that he was like going crazy and stuff, and that he was kind of abusive towards the end, apparently. Which is terrible. But it's obvious that, like, it didn't affect Sienna that much, because she still loved him,
Yeah.
So it was, like, a matter of, like, was she making that up? Or was he actually abusive towards her, or what? Like, what's the true story that actually happened is what I want to know. But, it was a pretty sad story, saying that, the dad ended up killing himself. And especially with two kids that loved him the way that they did. That's really sad, yeah. I feel bad for Sienna the most, because it looked like she was most affected by his death. And, she made that costume out of memory for him. It was like, oh, I made this for my dad because he drew it for me, and it's kind of like a special thing. So now that the couple's sitting in the car by themselves, Art ends up attacking them. He gets out to go to the bathroom and stabs him straight in the dick. Starts chopping it off.
Rips it off.
Rips it off with a kitchen knife and everything.
Disgusting.
Like that has to be utterly terrible. You know?
Yeah.
It has to be completely awful. And he ends up killing the girl pretty brutally.
Oh yeah.
He's chasing her through the
amusement park.
Yeah, the haunted house thing, the Terrifier it's called. And when he finally gets to her, he breaks her rib cage open at the sternum with a hammer. It just beats the crap out of her chest and blows her chest apart.
Disgusting.
That's brutal. I couldn't imagine getting killed that way. Just your chest being blown open like that.
Yeah, no thanks.
And he rips her heart out and eats it. Pretty gross. But everything about this movie is just completely gore turned up to 11. But so he kills that girl, the friend Brooke, and then he goes after and starts attacking Sienna now that she heard the screams and everything. And he's chasing Sienna and the brother, who I can't remember his name, through the Terrifier, and he ends up catching up to both of them and starts just whipping them with that.
Yeah, with the chain.
That chain thing that he had in the first movie with the scissors and the scalpels tied to it.
Awful.
I couldn't imagine. That had to hurt, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it looked like those things must have been at least plastic on the end of there, because it looked like when it hit the boy a couple times, is that it actually like did hurt a little bit, and he like jumped. Because you could tell when like the jump from pain is real.
Yeah.
And there was a couple in there that actually looked like it actually hurt.
Yeah.
The boy. It was kind of funny. But that has to be like an awful experience getting whooped by that stuff.
Oh yeah. I couldn't imagine.
When he's about to kill Sienna, the brother finds a shotgun taped to Art's leg and he gets it and shoots him with it. But it didn't do shit. He gets back up and he pushes Sienna like down this hole to like nowhere really, but like he pushes her down the hole and she's like seeing stuff down there, and he comes down and stabs her in the stomach with the sword that her dad bought her, and pushing her even further down into another hole into like this tank of water that was supposed to drown her. It was just a giant torture maze through this haunted thing, this haunted ride or whatever. But then the sword must have been in some way special or some sort, because it ended up healing the cut on her stomach,
bringing her back to life.
Yeah, pretty much. And she crawls out of the hole there and grabs the sword and cuts Art's head off.
Period.
So it's like she killed Art, question mark?
Question mark?
There's a Terrifier 3 coming out, so it's obvious that he can't be dead, you know, but like the creepy little girl comes and grabs his head and holding it like a baby and leaves with his head. Yep. So where is she going with it? You know?
She's doing some shit with it.
Yeah, she's doing something weird that's not good for anybody, really. There's no way that that's gonna... I mean, to be fair, it's probably like she's taking him to revive him or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I think we forgot to read the question at the beginning again, right?
Oopsies.
But yeah, so that's the end of the movie. I actually give it an 8 because I really liked the gore in this one. Thought it was really, really good, and it was way gorier than the last one. And it was just as silly and funny as the last one too.
Yeah.
But it also has like what makes this movie different, and that's like all the killing and whatnot, and like the creepiness of it. So I give it an 8. 6.1's kind of crazy to me.
That's a little low. I think it gets like a 9 out of 10 for scariness.
Yeah. So true.
Yes.
And yeah, so I'm going to find the what's it called now? The fear facts here. Okay. So I have a couple fear facts here. So the scenes that were shot in the Terrifier haunted house were filmed in a real haunted house called Fright Factory in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
The filmmakers used what was already available to them. Like that stuff was already in the haunted house. And it was cool that it got filmed in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's cool.
David Howard Thornton, who plays Silent Art the Clown, performed voiceover for the Art Crispy cereal commercial during the dream sequence. So that's pretty much the only time that we hear Art's voice, and it's not really Art's voice because it's the actor playing Art. So the next one, as Lauren Lavera, who is Sienna, is trained in martial arts, she did most of her own stunts in the movie.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty cool. Really interesting.
That's crazy.
The movie was a completely independently made production. Money was raised through several sources without the aid of a studio, and writer-director Damien Leone created all the special effects himself in order to cut costs. He was able to be uncompromising in his depiction of violence and gore because there was no studio making demands or insisting on cuts.
Damn.
So he could basically do anything he wanted, which is awesome.
And I'm sure he made that money back.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. There's no way he didn't, because a lot of people love the Terrifier movies.
Yeah.
I'm one of them, actually. I have 2 more here. And the first one is that Stephen King shouted out the film on X/Twitter saying, "Terrifier 2, grossing you out old school."
Ugh, that's cool.
That is cool. And it's true. It was pretty gruesome and gross.
It was very gruesome.
And for my final fear fact, filming of Terrifier 2 began in October 2019. It was almost complete before COVID-19 quarantines.
Damn.
So it wasn't very long after that the COVID stuff started. Like the quarantines and stuff. It was pretty shortly after, because it was like October, so it was probably like March that all that stuff started.
Yeah.
So they didn't take long to film. You know what I mean? So go ahead and read the question we should have read at the beginning.
At the end of the 2001 film, The Others, what did the mother, Grace, figure out about herself and her children? The answer? They're dead.
They were dead.
They were dead.
If you knew that answer, good job. If not, better luck next time.
Better luck next time.
Right, Matthew? He says right. So go ahead and read next week's question.
Kevin Bacon stars in what 1990 film about a group of people fighting for survival against a giant worm-like monsters hungry for flesh? Easy.
I love that movie.
Freaky.
You know what, sis? We should do that movie next.
Okay.
And we are not going to tell you the next movie because it is the answer to next week's question.
Right.
So
right.
we're going to tell you next week what the answer and the movie's going to be.
Yep.
But
it'll be a little surprise.
If you know the answer to what these worm creature movie is called that Kevin Bacon is in, then you'll know what movie we're doing next.
Yep,
so,
figure it out.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Sis actually said the answer. I had to cut it out.
I said, all right, blank it is. And then I looked at him, I was like, oh.
So yeah, I cut it out. So it was there for a split second,
It
but
was.
now it's gone.
Figure it
so too
out.
late. Figure it
Sorry.
out yourselves.
Sorry.
So yeah, we will catch you next week with surprise mystery movie that's the answer to this next question.
Yes! Thank you. Catch you later.